Before we get started, I just have a few announcements that I want to make. I want to first of all thank everybody that kind of helped us with Giving Tuesday yesterday. It was really nice. Everything worked out good. I also want to mention if there are any problems with anybody with that, please let us know. I want to mention also that David Diamond, who does the programs at Starting Point on Saturdays, is doing a workshop this Saturday on grief and the healing voice. Okay, and that's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this coming Saturday, December 5th. And details for the Zoom numbers are on our website. Also, on this coming Tuesday at 7 o'clock, Anne-Marie Rivnak is doing a workshop called Thriving Through the Holidays. It's free, and details are also on the workshop. So it's 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. Okay, so we have a few little things going on here. We're trying to get things put together. And finally, we have the virtual basket, which is the Venmo account, which is down in the chat room. You can check that out if you want. Okay, that's all the commercials. I picked a reading for today, kind of fits into our topic from one of my meditation books for today. It's my Overeaters Anonymous meditation book. Okay. The pride of humankind often edges into arrogance. Comparing ourselves with the rest of Earth's inhabitants tends to give us a sense of godlike superiority. Human history shows that individually and collectively, those who are overly impressed with their own knowledge may have closed their minds to anything new. The annals of science and medicine are filled with such examples. The assumption of knowledge is incompatible with humility, which is a state of being teachable. We know only a little, states the big book, and more will be revealed to us. In this program, it is suggested that we put aside our knowledge and keep an open mind. For today, I may know what I think I know, but I can put it aside for what I have yet to learn. I kind of wanted to share that because I'm going to do this little 3-week series, which I always enjoy doing, on the concept of the holidays. And the first one today is on the holidays and codependency. And I picked the first topic because, as most of you know, codependency is kind of the foundation of a lot of the stuff that we do here. But I want to just do a little memory thing. The definition of codependency, as we put forth before, is any person, place, or thing that I've built a dependency on that makes my life unmanageable and makes my life crazy. The 3 different areas of codependency are isolation, fantasy, and caretaking. These are behaviors. And so many of us migrate towards codependency because of what I talked about today in the reading, because sometimes we have a tendency to intellectually try to figure life out. And also so many times when it comes to recovery, we have a tendency to do something called intellectual recovery, but we have a hard time with what I refer to as gut and heart recovery. And so we talk about the holidays, things begin to happen. I want to kind of bring this today to you based on what's going on in our world today, which I think is so important. Because we can look at all 3 of these areas, isolation, fantasy, and caretaking, from a negative perspective. We can also look at it from a positive perspective. To learn that, we have to learn another word, which is really important. The word codependency has an opposite word. It's called interdependency. Interdependency is healthy. We are interdependent on many things in this world. And right now, many of us have, in our homes, we're interdependent on the heating system. We're interdependent on the electricity. We're interdependent on grocery stores. It's called interdependency, which means there are things in our life that are necessary, and we are connected to them. And if they would go away, it might create a little bit of tension in our life, or we should be able to handle it. A lot of times, I remember when I used to be the EA counselor for the Philadelphia Water Department and for the city of Philly. I used to give talks to the sanitation workers, and they used to laugh at me and say, "We're garbage men." I said, "No, you're not. You're sanitation workers." Because guess what? Your job is very important. If we don't, we're interdependent on them because if they don't collect the garbage, we could have all kinds of disease and things happening. There's a lot of interdependencies that we have in the course of our journey. And so those things are healthy. But codependency means I develop a dependency in a negative way, not in a positive way. And so we talk about isolation. We look at the world we live in today. We're going through a pandemic. It definitely is going to change the whole entire holiday scene for this month because we have to learn something which is really important. So many of us are going to have to learn what I call a very important word. And that word is something that I've always basically tried to work with in my own life. And that word is called adjusting. There's so many different things in life we have to adjust to. So we look at isolation. I can look at it negatively. I could isolate, I could hide and say the heck with the world and basically just go into a little cocoon and hide from everything. If we do that, we're going to become depressed, become anxious, go through all kinds of changes. But many of us have a tendency to want to do that, especially what's going on in the world around us today. Or I can go to the other side and try to look at what lessons can I learn from what's going on in my life with my interconnection with things around me. There are so many things we're connected to in this world. And yet I've got to learn how to make adjustments, how to make changes, to look at life in different ways. Simple little things like, one of the programs we normally do every year, we have a tendency every year to have something called our giving tree. And we used to collect toys to bring to the Spanish Center with Sister Helen over in North Philadelphia. Well, it's obvious we can't do that this year because things have changed. And so even that starting point, our giving tree is no longer there. But we're also going to work with her and put something together, and I'll tell you more about it next week, where you can actually send the price of a toy directly to her. And then she's able to use that money to buy toys and things for the kids. Because as you know, the Spanish people celebrate the giving of toys to kids on Little Christmas, which is January the 6th. It's part of their custom. The three wise men bring the gifts. And so it's called adjustment and change. So as a result, then we can simply say, forget about the whole thing, or we can make an adjustment or make a change. Same thing as regards looking at life in a totally different way. We may have to not isolate, but interconnect with people in a different fashion. We're doing that right now on Zoom. I mean, Zoom has become almost a spiritual word recently. It's almost like we're developing and connecting with people because we have to have that interconnection between individuals and people because we can't go through life alone. Thomas Merton said it so beautifully. No one is an island. So therefore, I really can't isolate off by myself. That is the same as dying and decaying. I need to be interacting with other people, be interacting with other human beings, and do a lot of my learning and growing from them. And so therefore, I have to be able to adjust and develop new ways to interact. Because I have to look at the fact that even during the holiday season, many things that we have traditionally done may not be able to do. We may have to use a computer to do most of our shopping this year because basically many of us are uncomfortable going out into different places and doing things. Recovery has changed. I never thought in my wildest dreams we'd have meetings at our place that are half on Zoom and half inside the place. And so it's interesting how people are doing all this adjusting and this connecting because as we look at the holidays, they're totally different. Even at starting point, we used to have a staff party every year. This year, we're going to have it, but we're doing it on Zoom. So we're doing a totally different virtual Christmas celebration for our staff. So it's just interesting how you're able to make changes because I really believe we need the interconnection with other human beings. We need to be connected to others. And I find that so important in my own life because I can get very depressed. I get very sad. I know there's a lot of things in life I would love to be able to give people hugs. I would love to be able to be connected in other ways, but I have to make changes and develop in different directions. Same thing as regards the second codependency thing called fantasy. I can live in a fantasy world. I can make believe none of this stuff is going on out here. I can go out there and do all the things I always did and different, and basically I can end up getting sick. So we have two sides to everything. So I would look at the fact that, yes, there's a lot of suffering. A lot of people died. I mean, God knows we've gone through this myself in my own family. I've experienced people that have had the virus. My wife's sister, even some of my own kids. But I realized, thank God, they're okay today. And so I realized this over and over again. I've experienced through Starting Point. We've had over 7 or 8 deaths just at Starting Point from the virus. 2 of my closest friends died from it. So there is a sadness to it. But it means I can feel that sadness and be in touch with it and feel the sadness of all these people and the compassion. But at the same time, I've got to make adjustments and try to the best of my ability to help others and myself to go on with life. So I can't live in a fantasy world. I can't make believe that none of this is really going on. And as a result, then we see this happen a lot of times. A lot of people, look at it and say, no, it's not real. I'm not doing it. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Well, the world isn't that way right now. We got to make changes. Things have to look in different directions. We got to break the fantasy and stay in reality. I know sometimes it's hard to do because reality sometimes is painful. And yet, I have to realize the fact that in the course of my journey in life, maybe the lessons I'm learning through this pandemic, through these holidays, through the changes taking place, I can look at the philosophy behind them and begin to learn and grow from them. We have some major holidays during this time, beginning with Thanksgiving. I always also celebrate the Feast of St. Nick's on December 6th. I also celebrate Hanukkah, which I think is a fantastic celebration. I've learned to celebrate Christmas. I still believe in Santa Claus, so we're connected in that direction. And I also believe very deeply in the Christmas spirit, but I believe very deeply also in Kwanzaa, all these different types of celebrations and things to this effect that go on. And every one of them is going to have to be adjusted differently today. It's not going to be the same. So we're going to have to do things like social distancing. We may have to wear masks. We may have to just get the spirit of these things and put them into our hearts and minds and begin to enjoy them. And that might mean making changes in the course of our journey. And so even a lot of family traditions, a lot of us say, well, no, you can't. We've got to change things. Got to look at it differently. My wife and I really enjoyed Thanksgiving. It was just the two of us. It was kind of nice in a way, and instead of having turkey, we had pasta and vegetables, pasta primavera. That was our Thanksgiving dinner. But then at nighttime, we got to see all the kids and everybody on Zoom. And we actually Zoomed for 2.5 hours. It was a totally different Thanksgiving. And yet, I'm going to be honest with you, it was very enjoyable. Because I'm learning something in life. To learn to adjust, to learn to make changes, to learn to make new things and new directions, what life really is all about. There's going to be tragedy in life. There's going to be loss. There's going to be hurt. But the bottom line is, how do I deal with it? Do I deal with it in reality? Am I able to make the adjustments and the change? Or do I fall back into the old patterns? Do I try to make believe it's not there when it is there? And so I have to look at the reality of the world that I live in and be able to adjust accordingly. And that's important for every one of us, no matter who we are, no matter where we're going in the course of our journey in life, because things are not going to be the way they were. And that goes in many areas of life. I know, look at my own self and a lot of the traditions, the Christmas traditions that I had. I've had to make changes in the past as regards them. I'm still going to make changes this year, I'm sure, because, this disease is not going to, magically just go away. It's something we're going to have to work with for a period of time. And that's why it's so important to have that open mind, to have that sense of humility, the sense of making changes and moving in different directions. And yet we can still have fun and we can still enjoy the holidays because it's a time to look at the principles and the concepts of it and the celebrations, our history and our past, and be able to look at the birth, the connection to one another, all these beautiful things. But we may have to do them differently. That's the key to the whole thing. And that's okay. You know, sometimes different can be better. You look at it in a positive way. And so as a result, then you have to realize and look at the fact that we have to make changes. I mean, every year I used to run a party here at Holiday City for all the grandkids. And we had a lot of kids that used to come to that party. We had a lot of fun. Guess what? We can't do it this year. And that's okay. So I look at the positive side, let's work. The negative side is I miss the kids. And yet I can actually give this to others through different ways and different directions. And so again, it means that I may have to change my scheduling. I may have to work in different directions with different things. And so we have to learn how to look at the holidays, not through the eyes of codependency, but through the eyes of interdependency and change. Okay, I can very easily get caught up in depression, anxiety, self-pity, and everything to that effect. But I have to learn, what is the secret to change? What is the secret to staying in reality? Some of the beautiful things we can share as people. We can share the gift of who we are. Each one of us is a gift. We can share the little things that we do every day in the course of our journey in life. And that goes to the third level of codependency, which is caretaking. You know, I gotta be careful with that because so many of us at this point, and you know, we have the first responders and people that are really working really hard. We have to respect them. We have to honor them. At the same time, we have to pray for them and realize the fact they're part of our journey. And we also have to realize in our own life, we have to help others the best we possibly can, but not in hurting ourselves as individuals. So I have to learn to have a sense of balance in my giving care to others and doing things for others. But I can do it differently. I can do it by sending a gift. I can do it by making a donation. I can do it by different types of things, like we talked about with the kids. I could send the price of a toy. I could do things differently today than the ways I did it in the past. And so basically, I have to learn that because of what's going on in our world, because of the changes going on in our world, I have to be able to constantly be able to adjust to the changes, to adjust to new things. I can spend a lot of time being angry and being angry at this disease, and it's okay to be angry at it. At the same time, I have to realize the fact I have to accept it. I have to accept the reality of what it is. I have to move into that reality. But I can also get very much caught up in doing everything for everybody else, trying to rescue and take care of everybody else. And believe me, it's one of my major diseases. And I know this disease has really, you know, threw some water on top of me and calmed me down a little bit. And I realize there's so many things today I can't do I used to do before. And you know, it's really been hard facing that reality. But at the same time, there's a positive side to it. I actually have time for myself today. I'm learning how to caretake me. Each one of us must learn how to caretake ourselves, to try to keep ourselves healthy, to read, to input stuff into ourselves, to try new things in new directions. Maybe it's a time we can do more meditating, more connection to the world around us, learn different things in different directions. That's what's important. And they're the things we have to really work on. So caretaking, you know, can have a negative connotation, but we can also move it into something positive. And the biggest thing I've learned over the years, one of the hardest things I ever had to do, all of us ever had to do, was how to take care of myself. Because I really believe very deeply that's an important part of this journey that we're on. So what I've learned is, how can I as a person break this bond of codependency, wanting things to be the way I want them to be? Or can I work on certain little things inside of me and be able to share them with everybody I meet whether it's on Zoom, whether it's someplace else, whether it's just a telephone conversation. But to me, the greatest gifts every one of us has deep down inside of us, we have the energy and the gift of love. To give love to another person, beginning with the people that are right around you. I'm learning the gift of tolerance, to be open to new things and new directions, and realize the fact that I got to be able to tolerate a lot of situations going on around me. Stuff I may disagree with and be upset about, and be able to be in touch with it. So tolerance is a gift, if I can learn it. And even I'm going to experience people that will be very negative. People might look at things differently. Maybe they're come into my life to teach me things about myself. How can I learn and grow inside of me so I can share that with others? The gift of gratitude, the greatest gift of all. Just to be grateful for the little things of life. For example, we woke up this morning. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. We're here. We're actually, as the old timers used to say, we're on this side of the dirt. It's fantastic. We're doing all kinds of beautiful things. And I used to love the old timers in AA because they kept things so simple. It was so beautiful. They used to say, when you wake up in the morning, ask for help. Don't figure out who you're asking. Don't go nuts. Don't try to figure life out. Just ask for help every day. At nighttime, say thank you. Be grateful. Look back on the day and go to sleep. They used to say that the simple things in life are what life really is all about. And maybe what's going on in our world today is trying to keep us out of the insanity, out of the craziness. Because I know I'm different than you. You can so easily get caught up in it. You get caught up in politics. You get caught up in stuff going on in the world. You get caught up in the pandemic. All these things you can get caught up in. Or can I look at everything going on in the world and can I learn something from it? Can I grow from it? And that's what the gift of humility really is all about. Humility is the gift of being open. Humility is the gift of learning. Humility is the gift of letting go. Humility is the gift of realizing the fact I don't have to have the answers to everything. You know, we're in a world today that is a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness. Now, do I become part of that craziness and that insanity? Or do I give it its own opportunity to find its way? And it will, like everything else, as long as I work on the gift that God has given me. And then I've got things to share with others. A simple thing I can share sometimes is listening to somebody who might really be getting on my nerves, but listening to them anyway. They need somebody to share things with. So you just listen and be open to them and give them some love back. And sometimes it's a secret thing. You know, I'll tell you a secret one time. It's interesting, the story. One of my interns a few years ago came up to me and they said, you gave me a client. What am I going to do with him? I said, what do you mean? Well, he's been in all kinds of programs. He's been in the mental health system for a long period of time. He basically, you know, has been through every system you can think of. And now I've got him as a client. I said, good. Well, what do I do with him? I said, nothing. What do you mean nothing? I said, look, let him come in and let him just share with you once a week. Learn to become a listener. Learn to be open to what he's going through. And then as starting point, you know, tell him to go to about 8 different meetings. Tell him to go to all the different programs and things that we have and stuff that's going on. And basically help him to build a little of a social life. That's all. You don't need to do any complicated therapeutic system on him. He's probably experienced them all already. The important thing is be a listener. What I've learned in the course of this journey is the importance of the gift of listening. It's such a simple gift. And sometimes I may need to ramble on about something to somebody, and I'm grateful I have people in my life that listen. They don't tell me what to do. They don't give me advice. They don't try to rescue me. They don't try to save me. They just listen. And the only words they ever say to me are, thanks for sharing, Vince. And life goes on. That's why I love the concepts of our program, because recovery is not about saving people. Believe me, I tried that. Recovery is about learning to become a listener, learning to basically have a sense of perseverance, learning to be a person of service. We can give service in many different ways. Maybe we can't do it the way we did it in the past. Maybe you can't go to a clubhouse or to a meeting, and set chairs up and do this kind of stuff and everything else. But service might mean hosting a meeting. Service might mean coming on early, spending time with people. Service might mean at the end of the meeting, staying on Zoom for a longer period of time, yakking with people and talking with people, just as you would if you went to a meeting. All the little things you can do that are so powerful and so beautiful. And yet, it's all about adjusting to the reality of the world that we're in today. It's sad sometimes when you try to be in a world that doesn't exist. Believe me, I live in a 55 and over community, and I go down to the gym in the morning with people that are still telling me that things were much better in 1925 and 1930. I say, okay, it's nice. Only we could go back there. I don't want to go back there. I like where I am today. You think I want to go back to the 40s and the 50s? Yeah, it was nice. It was different. But I like being in the present. Because yesterday is over. It's done. And yet a lot of people have a hard time with that. They keep trying to go back. They keep trying to relive. And so I'm learning right now is this is a new world we're in right now. And maybe it's supposed to be. God's always teaching us something. There's sadness in this world. There's hurt in this world. There's death in this world. And we have to realize the fact that we can feel for that and feel the stuff that's going on. But at the same time, maybe it's going to push me to take better care of my own body, take better care of the people around me, to encourage people to do things in a positive way, to look at life in a positive way. These are the things we have to learn. Real service might just be, acknowledging another person. It might be sitting down and writing out a bunch of Christmas cards and letting people know you love them and care about them. All the little things in life that are so important. It might be just putting a thought out there, something to think about, to connect with. I think that's such a powerful process in the course of life. I love being around people that will give me ideas and give me directions. I was on a session today with somebody, and her and I connect every week. We're just talking. I know her from the program. And she went over a couple of new ideas about shame, about guilt and stuff. And it was really neat stuff we talked about today. I learned some new things today. It was fantastic. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to stop learning. I don't want to stop growing. I don't want to stop experiencing things. That's why I've got to constantly work on breaking those bonds of codependency and realize the fact I am so interconnected. There's so many beautiful things in the course of this world. We're interconnected with one another, with nature, with the world around us. It's that interconnectedness that is so important. In my Indian meditation book the other day, it was a beautiful reading about our connection to different parts of life. They talked about the child, the young adult, the adult, the elder, how we go through cycles of life, the circle of life, as they call it. I see the same thing when I watch The Lion King about the circle of life. We're all part of it. We all came into this world as children, and we're going to go out as, older children. What can I tell you? My buddy put it beautifully. You come in diapers, you go out in diapers. What can I tell you? But it's all part of the journey. Because as you get older, things leak a little bit. What can I say? It's all part of life. You can't do some of the things you used to do before. And yet, even that can be exciting. It means to celebrate the gift of where you are on your journey. It would be insane for me to make believe I was 40 or 50 years old. I'd be in bad trouble if I tried to do some of the things I used to do then. I realize now I can't do that now. I got to look at life where it is. It's funny, but last night there was a delivery made here, and there's something for Starting Point. And they delivered it here. I have to bring it up there tomorrow. Well, it's kind of heavy. Not kinda, it's heavy. Okay. It's a carpet. It's one of those rubber things. And so the delivery man saw me at the door and he said, "You sure you want me to carry this in for you instead of me, instead of you?" I said, "Please," I begged him. And so he actually carried it in for me and took care of it for me. I mean, now, to me, that's something powerful because he could have very easily just dumped it on a step and walked away. And then I would have got a hernia from trying to pick it up. But the concept is, I realized today, I wouldn't have done that, by the way. I would have got somebody to help me. But it was so nice of him to just stay at the door and say, "Let me help you." See, that's service. That's giving. That's what I call interconnection, interdependency. I needed him to help me with that because there's no way I could do it. It was too heavy. And so the concept is, it's okay to say those magic words. You can ask for help every day. Ask people for help. Be open to new journeys and new directions. And so we have a choice. We're going to go through sadness during this month. We may even go through the sickness with some people. And yet, it comes down to our attitude, how we deal with it. I can look at the fact that I can go hide, I can run away. I can live in a fantasy world. I can run around trying to fix everybody, save everybody, rescue everybody, put myself in jeopardy. Or I can try to look at it in a positive way. I can learn not to isolate, but to connect, to be part of others, and to use any means possible I can do for connection. If it means having to connect on, FaceTime, or connect on Zoom, or connect on whatever other technology thing you have today, where it might just be visiting somebody from a long distance away. My neighbor and I had a great conversation the other day. I was on my step, he was on his step. We're definitely a lot more than 6 feet apart. But we got to really spend some time together. He brought his coffee out, I brought my coffee out. We sat, we just enjoyed. It was great. I mean, normally the two of us would have sat together on his porch. We decided because of what's going on, we can still have a conversation with one another and connect with one another. So we learned that we can do it differently now. And that's what's important. Because I think sometimes we get so stubborn. I'm not going to give in to this thing. Well, you got to give in to things in life. You got to become more tolerant, become more open. Realize the fact this gift of love, and the best gift we can give is like that delivery man did for me last night. It's a little act of service. A little act of service. It might just be acknowledging another person, letting them know you care about them. It might mean sharing something with them. It might be sharing a thought. All the little things in life. And then when it comes to family, when it comes to codependency, we have to make changes again. Maybe we can have these gigantic dinners and things of this effect we used to have in the past, these get-togethers. Maybe we have to exchange gifts differently now. Maybe we have to do it via technology now. Different ways of doing it. I know one of the things we're going to be doing is we'll be mailing our gifts to our grandkids in Montana, and then we'll get the opportunity to watch them open them on Zoom. Well, let me tell you a secret. That's a positive thing because we could never watch them open them before. We missed it all the time. Now we can experience that. And so we learned that it's a change, it's something different. And so whatever you're doing in life, wherever you're going on your journey, remember we are interconnected as people. We need one another. We also need to realize that we're part of the human race. So we have to feel sadness. We have to feel loss. We also have to feel joy and celebration. We have to experience the gift of love, become more open and becoming more tolerant. And don't be afraid that magical word we have to learn during this month, especially during the holidays. Adjustment. We have to adjust to a new way of life. It can't be the way it was before. Sorry. And that's okay. As long as we have an open mind, a sense of humility, a sense of learning, and maybe we'll learn something new and move in a new direction from it. I don't know. All I'm learning is In some ways, I'm getting excited because I'm learning things I never could do before. I've come a long way from a flip phone. It's fantastic. I'm really enjoying what's happening today. And yet I know there's a lot more I have to learn. So I'm going to try to be open to it. Believe it or not, you're not going to believe this, but I can actually go on the computer and go on Zoom. Ooh, I depended on my wife to do it for a long period of time. She showed me how to do it. Now I can do it. Isn't that great? I can do Zoom on my phone. Isn't that amazing? I can do all kinds of crazy things now. It's amazing. I'm waiting for my phone to wash clothes for me. That'll be fantastic. We'll see what happens next. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen next. And maybe that's the adventure of it all. Is there loss? Yes. I go into Starting Point and look at the memorial wall, and we have one little strip of people that have died from this disease, and it's sad. I miss them, but at the same time, they're on the other side taking care of me now. I know that. I have to look at them as my angels in different direction. For the greatest angels of all, I experienced this in my own life, and I'm grateful. There's one of my clients that I see on a regular basis, and she is one of those important people that work in the emergency room with patients with this disease, and I get to spend time with her at least every 2 weeks, on Zoom, but just to see her perspective and what she's going through. And she's so young. She's only 28, 29 years old, and she has seen more stuff now in her life than many of us have seen in our lives. I see this in people that have gone through so much. And yet we have to be able to try to take those lessons and learn from them. And I give her a lot of credit because she has such a good attitude. She looks at life in a very positive way. And above all, she looks forward to just connecting with people and being part of people. And so I just want to share something with you today as we talk about release of our codependency and come into our more interdependency on one another. It's so great to be able to be connected to other human beings and people, to laugh, to enjoy life, to celebrate, to cry, be able to cry together. My daughter in Chicago, her father-in-law on her husband's side, basically is on a ventilator now in the hospital. And it's scary. It's very scary. And his wife also has symptoms of it, but she's home. She's not in the hospital. And just the sadness of her not being able to have direct contact with him, and will he make it we don't know what's going to happen. What we can do is pray. And to me, the greatest gift that we have is a gift of prayer. To be able to pray for those who are going through their struggles, to pray for each and every one of us, but to pray that all of us, even in recovery, can continue the journey of being people that are open to love, open to humility, open to gratitude. And so try to the best of your ability to live your life in an attitude of gratitude, of humility, an attitude of acceptance, of adjustment, and an attitude of love. So my prayer today is that each and every one of us will be able to open these doors and look at this month in a much more powerful way. And then next week, I'm going to do the thing on spirituality and the holidays, interconnect what I talked about today and move in that direction. So let us pray. God, we come before you as your family. We come before you in days that sometimes might be confusing, but know that you are our guide. Please walk alongside of us. Walk with us on our journey. Teach us to deal with our sadness and our hurt. Teach us to have a sense of joy and celebration. Teach us to be able to look at these holidays, these situations, the ways that all of us celebrate them. To be able to take the history of them and learn from that. And be able to grow and become more powerful people as a result of it. And remember, what's important is don't isolate and don't run away. Because God's trying to teach us. Be open to one another. Stay close to one another. Because I know that God walks alongside of us in all that we do. We have to ask every day for his help and guidance and be able to be open to the journey of where life takes us each day. So we pray today, we pray for the gift of love, for the gift of tolerance, for the gift of openness, for the gift of humility. We pray, God, that you help us to become people of service. Teach us to persevere and to be open to new things and new directions in all that we do in life. We thank you in a special way for those who have gone before us, for those who have moved to the other side with you. We thank you for them, for the teachers we've had. We ask that you bless them, and we know that they are here with us today, helping us on our journey in the world that we live in today. Teach me, God, please, to accept the reality of where life is, to adjust accordingly, and to be open to the new lessons you will have for us. We pray and we ask for your guidance and your direction. We pray for this in your name. Amen. I'm going to ask all of you to just kind of unmute and join me in the serenity prayer, the we version.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.